If you're in a field or if you're in a sector within a business and your specific unit is not making money, you are prime for layoffs. If your team does not have a clear roadmap, a specific work cut out for them at any point in time, you're prime for getting cut off. If your leaders are jumping ship, count your days. Salam alaikum. Good morning. It's Sunday, August 4th, 2024. Today I want to talk about a topic that's somewhat sensitive, which is layoffs. Getting that email or getting that calendar invitation, seeing your manager and then one random person on the call is definitely not something that you expect to happen. And so when it happens, it's shock. It's becoming the new normal. For the most part, you can't avoid it, but you can see it coming. Just for some context, I was on a team that was supposedly doing good. A reorg happened and I got moved to a team that wasn't doing as well. And I ended up leaving that team. A month to 2 months after I left that team, and the skip got laid off and all of that. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but you can kind of see it coming in specific scenarios based on how the market trends are going, based on how your organizational trends are going, finally based on your individual impact. Sometimes the layoffs don't have any logical reasoning behind them. It's just companies trying to save money and they just cut people without even thinking twice about it, right? And in this video I want to basically just go into how you can kind of spot it coming from afar, what you can potentially do to avoid it if you can. Yeah, that's what we'll be talking about in this video. I have a lot of errands to run today. As I run through those errands, I will be going through all of that stuff. First task of the day is I have a very important phone call with a few people. This phone call might interest some of you because it's part of something new that I'm kind of getting into. I'll share more details in a little bit, but let's jump into the phone call. It's gonna happen in about 9 minutes, so I gotta prepare for it. I want to say thank you very much for taking time to meet with us. The whole aim of the call is just for you to get a feel for his experience. We'll talk about himself, what he's done in the past, his experiences, and then from there, just based on your experience and stuff that you've seen in the AI machine learning, space, if you could potentially give him some tips as to what he could learn, what he could be better at to learn roles in like big tech specifically. And so that's basically just the whole. That was a snippet of one of the calls from my new coaching program called the Prodev coaching program, and it's basically a one-on-one coaching program for software engineers. It's targeted towards you and your specific scenario. I meet you where you are at and we create customized learning plans to help you get to achieve your goal. And the call that you just heard was the second half of the phase 2 plan, which is creating tailored learning plans to help you address the skills that you don't have. That call was between myself, my client, and a very good friend of mine who is really good at machine learning. My client is currently working as a machine learning engineer, but he wants to get a bigger role at a different company. I don't know about machine learning. What I did is I used my network to help connect to someone who knows more about machine learning than I did. And the outcome of the call, the tailored learning pathway to help my client learn more about machine learning as it relates to big tech, right? Instead of just giving generic advice. So yeah, it's the Prodev coaching program. I'll leave a link to the application below. If you're a software engineer and you want to get better at your craft, apply to the coaching program and let's work together. Let's go back to the main topic, which is predicting layoffs before it kind of happens. And the first step in somewhat predicting layoff is to understand business. The thing about business as it relates to capitalism in Western world is the number one driving factor, the absolute thing that must happen is profits. Regardless of what they tell you to say, oh, we're trying to make things better for the environment, sustainability, it all leads down to profit at the end of the day. If a business is not making profits, investors don't like it. And the people who are running the business, they do all they can to squeeze out or make as much profit as possible. That's a problem on its own. We can talk about that on a different day because we're essentially trying to chase infinite resources in a finite world, right? It's led to companies doing the subscription model where they're trying to make as much profit as possible. And that's why, everything is a subscription nowadays, even 8 sleep. Capitalism, profit. That's the number one driving factor. With that being said, if you're in a field or if you're in a sector, right, within a business and your specific unit is not making money, you are prime for layoffs. If it's not being profitable or is not key to helping other parts of the company that's making money, you're prime for layoffs. Amazon with Alexa. So they started the whole Alexa product, things were going good. It really wasn't making money, but it kept investing in it, they kept expanding in it because it incentivized people to get other Amazon products that made money. But Alexa at itself, right, just that unit, Alexa within Amazon, was costing Amazon money. Bezos loved Alexa and that's why it stayed. The second Bezos left, the new CEO, he came in and he just chopped the Alexa group immediately. Why? They weren't profitable. New CEOs come in, they want to boost profits. The first thing they do, cut out the groups that are not making money. Amazon with Alexa, that's what happened. AR, VR, 2-3 years ago, AR, VR was the next big thing. Everyone said, oh, Oculus goggles, these goggles, that goggles. It was nice. It was really, really good, right? Companies invested in it. After a couple of years, they started saying that the regular consumer, people like you and I, maybe wearing that big thing on our head, to move around and do all these things. It really wasn't the thing that they thought it would be. And so sales didn't go up as much as they thought it would. And what has happened? Microsoft laid off part of the group that was working on their own VR headset because it wasn't making as much profits, right? In some cases, it was even costing them money. Now, if you find yourself within that VR space, not just in VR, but within a business unit in a company that's not providing profit, if anything, your product or the thing that you're selling is costing the company money, then you're primed for layoffs, because at any point in time, when they're going through their books and they're trying to maximize as much profit as possible, why? Capitalism, you are prime. I have to meal prep for the week, so let's go do that. So I just finished cooking and I have a few more errands to run. While I run those errands, I want to talk about the second way you can predict layoffs within your company. That's understanding the organization and understanding the role your team plays within that organization. There are specific signs of a healthy team or a healthy organization, and one of them is there is a clear roadmap on what is going to happen in the future. If your team does not have a clear roadmap, a specific work cut out for them, where in the next 2, 3, 4 years, there's a clear plan for what they want to do, right? Or what they'll be doing and how it helps the company make money, then you're in a place where at any point in time, if you don't have work to do, you're primed for getting cut off. Another aspect that I like to look into is your team or organization taking interns during the summer, right? An org that's accepting interns kind of have a future in that the plan is to convert those interns into full-time hires. They want those people to come in, give them small projects so they learn, and then after that, maybe in a year or 2 or 3 years, they then have those interns come back as full-time employees, right? If they've never taken interns, then that's different. But if they used to take interns and all of a sudden they stopped taking interns for some reason, then that's a red flag, right? Because as I said, they may not necessarily have a clear roadmap for what they want to do 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. And that's a red flag. One more thing you can look into as well is having conversations with leadership. If you have a conversation with them and you ask them, hey, how does my team or how does the work that I'm doing play into the company's strategy, right, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, and they don't give you a solid answer that actually makes sense to you, then that's a red flag. Now, sometimes the answer may not make sense to you because you clearly just don't understand it, but other times it's clearly bullshit, right? They're just making shit up because even they themselves, they don't know. And it's a lot easier for higher ups and leaderships to find new roles and then they just dip, right? They don't get laid off. It's you that gets laid off because of their bad leadership. Intel just laid off 15,000 people because they chose to invest in the wrong thing, right? The leadership people who chose the direction, they're basically fine. Speaking of leadership, I was on a team where someone very high up, a senior leadership person, just up and left without telling us anything. Typically, they send emails. They're like, hey, this person is going to a new opportunity. We wish them the best. But they didn't say anything. They just up and left. All of a sudden, we just got an email saying, hey, your CVP has gone. This is the replacement. What do you mean the CVP has gone? What does that mean, right? Now, they saw something within the organization that we don't know, right? And so they decided to jump ship. If your leaders are jumping ship, count your days. Oh my God, that's so funny. If your leaders are jumping ship, count your days because they're seeing something that you don't see, right? If they don't have a clear direction for where they see you, your team, right, the organization going within the next 2, 3, 4 years and how it'll help the business make money, count your days. Count your days. Yeah, I have one more errand to run to clean this car. It's been a while since I detailed the inside of the car, and the outside as well. So let's basically stop and do that. And after that, I'll go into the final way to predict, layoffs, and that way personally has to do with you, right? Your role within the organization. cooking, why can't you eat the food that you just finished cooking? And to that I say, meal prep that was cooked today can't be eaten today. It's in the law. Go look it up. Don't come at me. If you cook today, if you meal prep today, you can't eat that food today. The food has to rest, like, let me enjoy my big back behavior, Nah. Yeah, all right. Yeah, this is it. All right. See me putting Chipotle back here like they're sponsoring me. Moot. The final way you can kind of predict layoff is based on your personal impact and the impact of your team. Think about the work that you are doing and the work that your team is doing, right? If business processes can go on without you, meaning the work that you're doing is irrelevant to core business processes, then you are at risk of being laid off. And I know a lot of people find themselves in this situation. I myself was in this exact same situation where I was on a team, a reorg happened, and I got reorged to another team, and I took with me this project that wasn't mine. The project was built by vendors, and they built it in the worst possible way ever. This thing was riddled with bugs. It wasn't working 80% of the time. Whenever the service wasn't working, the engineers who were supposed to be using the service would just do things manually, essentially making my role and my product somewhat obsolete, right? Things would still run without it. And that kind of put me in a very, very gray area. I reached out to my manager. I said, hey, we need more people. We need to put more hands on it. That way, we can get it to a place where it's working pretty good. He said, okay, I'll try to get you someone. He didn't get me anyone. I reached out to a team member that left my team from a reorg, and I got him to help me around 20 hours a week. We got the service to a place where it was running. It would work like 80 to 90% of the time, but there were still bugs and we couldn't expand on it, right? We basically just did like a hot patch, like a hot fix. Underneath, the core layer was still horrible. So I told my manager, I'm like, hey, we have this thing at a place where it's working properly. We need to start investing time and money into it. That way we can make it to be a bigger thing, right? There were so many ways we could have used AI. There were so many ways we could just make the service way more robust. He looked at me and he said, yes, I'm trying my best. I'll do what I can. I'll try to get you more engineers. First was 1 month, then 2 months, then 3 months, nothing. There was no help. There was no engineers came in. It was just me and my friend that I recruited to be working on this service. We weren't doing anything but fixing bugs, right? We're essentially just coasting for the most part. We weren't making any big tangible impacts. The time that it wouldn't work, it wouldn't stop business processes, right? Business would still go on without it. They didn't care about it enough to put people on the project. That's one part. And on the second hand, the impact that I could make on that team was being dwarfed by the organization's unwillingness to invest in it. In my reviews, instead of writing like impactful things, I would be struggling to find good lines that I could put in my review. I would be struggling to find impactful work that I could put in my review. And after a while, it hit me. I was like, man, I can only do this for so long, right? I'm already 6 months into this thing and it's not getting better, right? What do? I decided to find a new role within my company. I found a really, really good role. That's where I'm at now. A couple of months after I left them, like clockwork, my skip manager who I was asking for help, him and the team that were under him, they got laid off. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. I kind of somewhat saw it coming because the project that we're working on, we're asking for more people, as I said. They weren't giving us more resources, right? And with that, as I said, you can only coast for so long, right? So try to figure out your individual impact in projects. If business can go on without the work that you're doing, then you're in a place where they can potentially do without you. Someone would just have to pick up extra work or just do things manually. That's the first thing. Secondly, if the organization is not investing in the projects that you're working on, if they don't see it as core, then there's an issue there. It doesn't have to do with you not wanting to put in the work. It's based on what the organization is choosing to invest in. And if they're not investing in the project that you're working on to essentially make it bigger, make it better, have it be something that will create value in the organization, then it's just a matter of time before they say, yeah, it's no longer needed, right? So try to figure out the role that your work is playing. And if it's not big enough, then, when times for layoff comes, you might be laid off. Just saying. Don't shoot the messenger, right? But as I said, a lot of layoffs sometimes don't even have a reason. They just tell someone to pick names and then the person just picks names. That's what happens. Or they just, pick names randomly from a spreadsheet, essentially, right? So everything that I've said, you could be in a great team doing good work and you still get laid off for reasons that are beyond your control. So take everything I've said with a grain of salt. With that being said, yeah, that's basically the end of the video. Let me know how you liked the video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Uma. I am a software engineer and a content creator. I also help coach software engineers one-on-one, like I mentioned in the beginning, to basically help them achieve their goals and land higher paying jobs. If you'd like to work with me, apply for the Prodev coaching program today using the link in my bio. The link is prodev.umacodes.com. Again, thank you for watching and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. I have to call my mom now.